welcome back to Operation 43rd Wessex. This is turn 7 for the KMT in the USA portion. All right, let's get started with the KMT. The KMT have 3 in the bank. They're going to spend it all on 1 infantry. There is no combat nor non-combat movements for the KMT, so all we're simply going to do is take that 1 infantry and place that here in... can we build it in Shanxi? That's a good question because it's not ours. We'll build it here in Shanghai then. That's no problem. So all we've done there is just add that one KMT infantry. So now in Shanghai, KMT troops, 3 infantry, 1 cavalry, 1 mountain. KMT have 1 in the bank. They'll collect 2 for the Burma Railways, so they're back to 3. All right, let's get to the US turn. All right, so the US had 25 in the bank. They're going to spend it all. With that, they're going to lend lease the Russians a AAA gun for 4, the Brits a fighter for 10, finish off a port, start a major port. So that's 6. So it's a total of 6. So far we've got 20 there. Then we've got 1 infantry and 1 militia for our full 25. We get a D12 to roll for our armament increase or rearmament as of July, or correction, I think it's January of 1939. So we'll roll that. And then we'll get to our tech. So tech-wise, same techs as last time. We've got factories, amphib, jets, large ships. Be nice to hit that. We got bombers, rockets. Oh no, that's long range, sorry. Long range at 8. Jets. Oh no, jets. What am I looking at jets for? Jets is back here. Rockets and bombers. I'm totally losing my mind. Anyway, let's get to rolling. Let's roll the tech first, and we'll do our D12. So let's see how we go. Pretty crappy luck so far in this game, and certainly nothing like the Axis. All right, here we go. Ugh. All right, 1 is no good. 6 is no good. 5 is no good. 1 is no good. 3 is no good. Jeez. So we've got a red 9, which is jets. So jets goes to stage 2. And then we've got a white 9. That's heavy bombers. So heavy bombers, and it gets on the board stage 1. That's pretty lousy. We've only hit, out of 21 dice, we've hit 6. I think it's 6. Or did we get 3 and 2, 5, 7. 7 out of 21. Not good at all. All right, let's do our income die, and let's see if we can have a bit more luck with that, see if the dice can give us some love there. So we're sitting currently on 36 IPP, and we get a 10, so that's not terrible. So we go to 46. Okay. All right. Combat. We have a couple of technical combats. So, over this neck of the woods, now that we can move our ships and go on escort duty, we've got a destroyer in A25, which is going to come out 1 into A18 and go on escort duty there. That's that guy. We've got another destroyer out of A25. We'll come over 2 this time. So 1 into 18, 2 into 19, and he'll go on escort duty now next to those that German submarine. Okay, so we can get rid of that. And 1 more. And then the last destroyer here in A25, coming from major port 1, 2, 3, he's going to go on escort duty in A20. And that is all of our combat movements. We've got the 3 ships on escort duty. Okie dokes, let's do a little bit of non-combat over on this side of the world. So down here in A36, we've got a light cruiser and a destroyer and a transport coming out of a major port in Texas. So they're going to come up 1, 2 into A30. Going into port will be the transport. The other ships will all be coming out of port, but they're still adjacent to that land zone, so they can do that. So coming out of port will be the fleet carrier, 2 battleships, a heavy cruiser, light cruiser, a destroyer. There'll be the 2, well, they're already at sea anyway, the 2 coastal subs. And then we've got, adding to that, we've got a second light cruiser, which is going to go in there, and another destroyer which came from Texas. Well, not from Texas, but A36. You get the drift. So that fleet is just there in A30 at sea. The only things that'll be in port will be these 2 transports, which I'll get a port marker and mark them off. All right, so this ship here will remain in port in in New York. That's that guy there. And I think over this part of the world we're pretty good. I know I wanted to fly that tactical out of DC and land that on the fleet carrier. And he has a magnet, and hopefully he wants to do the right thing. He doesn't, so I'm going to put the camera down and fiddle with this for a second. There we go. Happy days. All right, so that's done. And we will fly our medium bomber here from southeastern United States, 1 into A30, 2 into 37, 3 into Puerto Rico, joining that seaplane there at the seaplane base. And that's it for this side of the world. Let's get over to the Philippines. All right, so in the Philippines, coming out of that major port there with the movement of 4, we've got the destroyer first. Hopefully you can see that. So from P50, 1 into 42, 2 into 43, 3 into 45, 4 into sea zone P36 next to Wake Island. Coming out of port there with the movement of 2, 1 into 42, 2 into 43, and that transport will just be there in Guam. All right, let's go over here. There's a bit of movement over here. So coming out of Hawaii, we've got the fighter, 1 into 29, 2 into 22, lands on Midway. Coming from sea zone P29 will be the 2 battleships coming over 2 from a major port, 1, 2 into 22. Joining them will be 2 destroyers and 1 heavy cruiser. The tactical will fly with a movement of 4, 1 into 29, 2 into 22, and land on Midway. So get rid of all that. The transport that is in Hawaii will pick up 1 infantry and 1 AAA gun and bring that up 1 into 29, so leave port, 1 into 29, 2 into 22, and drop those off in Midway. So that fleet will be at sea. Okay. And we can't move these guys just yet because they can't get anywhere adjacent, which is kind of annoying, but we can move this transport. So the transport's going to pick up 2 with the infantry and the light armor. So it's going to come out 125, 2 into 30, 3 into Hawaii, go in port, dropping off that light armor and infantry into Hawaii. The destroyer that is in P25 is going to come up 1, 2 into 29 and go in port. Hopefully that was visible on the camera. Okie dokie. I think we've moved everything that we can move, or everything that we want to move. Let's get to placement of units. So the Lend-Lease will be built here for the Russians and San Francisco. It'll travel to Midway. From there, It'll travel 1, 2, hang on, how did I do this before? So Hawaii, 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll refresh in Guam. So from Guam, we've got another movement of 3. So 1 into 2 into the Philippines, and then from the major port, the Philippines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up here into Primorsky Krai. That was an effort. So we'll deliver that AAA gun to Primorsky. The British fighter, that's produced over in New York. So from New York, going to be built in New York. So we've got 4 to get it there. So 1 into 18, 2 into 15, 3, 4, and we'll deliver it into southern England. Hopefully that was visible. So that's that fighter there to the Brits. That's done. All right, we're going to finish off the port in Samoa down here. That's done. And then we're going to commence building the port, the major port over here in Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico gets a major port, and then we'll just leave the camera here because I've got the last 2 units. So we'll put a militia down in Puerto Rico and an infantry here in DC. Okay. All right, I think that is good. I think that's good. All right, let's do a quick unit recap because we haven't done one of those in a minute. And then we'll finish off. Okay, so we spent all 25. We now collect 46 the next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 46 for next turn. Let's cover off on what we've got. Okay, starting off here in A18, destroyer on escort duty, A19, destroyer on escort duty, A20, destroyer on escort duty. New York, that's a pretty bad accent, has a artillery and a infantry in port. There is a transport. In DC, there are 2 infantry. In C zone A30, or also in DC, there are 2 transports that are in port. And they're just up there. It's getting a bit crowded in that C zone, probably needs a card. All right, in C zone A30, we've got a fleet carrier with a tactical, 2 battleships, 1 heavy cruiser, 2 light cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 2 coastal submarines. In Puerto Rico, we've started construction of a major port. We have a medium bomber. We have a seaplane and a militia. That's everything over here. Going over to the Pacific. In Luzon and Visayas, we have 1 infantry. I can get rid of that port marker. 1 infantry, 1 militia. In Mindanao, we have 1 militia. In Guam, 1 militia. At sea, there is a transport. In Sea Zone P36, we've got a destroyer. We've completed the port down in Samoa. P22 at sea. We have 2 battleships, 1 heavy cruiser, 2 destroyers, and a transport. On Midway, there is a AAA, an infantry, a fighter, and a tactical. In Hawaii, we have an infantry, a militia, and light armor. In port, we have a destroyer and a transport. In Sea Zone P25, 2 coastal subs. San Francisco, 4 militia, 1 infantry. I'm going to rail 1 militia. Actually, I'm going to rail 2 militia to the other side of the world. I'm going to rail 1 to New York City and 1 to DC. Let's put those over there. All right. Sorry about that late change. So in San Francisco, 2 militia, 1 infantry. All right, coming up next will be Panzer J with turn 8, and it'll be January of 1940. Thanks for watching.